Hello, welcome to that VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair, the host of the show, and we want to welcome you on July 31st, 2012 to the show. That VidBlaster Guy is intended to prove the point that one man with one PC can do one, well, so far, pretty decent broadcast. But our goal is one man, one PC, one awesome broadcast. And I really believe it can be done. I've watched a lot of the internet shows, and I've seen guys that have rooms full of computers that are talking to each other and doing this and doing that. And if I were just starting out, I would be so baffled, I wouldn't know where to start. So maybe this is entry level, maybe this is more advanced. We don't know yet. But the concept is that you can do an awful lot with just one PC. You don't need a room full of computers to do it. That VidBlaster Guy, well, this is show number 3. We are now in the beta versions, and we started out in the alphas, which were pretty okay shows, and now we're in the betas, which are getting a little better. One of the things that we're doing in the beta shows, and we did in the alpha shows, is intersperse live, like we're doing right now, with things that we've recorded later. I was going to say taped, but nobody uses tape anymore, but I guess everybody knows what that's talking about. By the way, if you're watching live, please jump in the chat room. We'd love to chat with you as the time goes on. The show today is going to be, well, let me back up a step. We generally have 3 themes that we work with in our shows. We talk about internet TV talk shows, which of course this is an internet TV talk show. We talk about church broadcasting. And then our third theme is sports broadcasting, and that's going to be the theme that we're going to work with today. Definitely one of my favorite themes, because that's how I cut my teeth on internet TV, was through sports that my youngsters were involved in. But our guest today is a fella up in Pennsylvania, Steve Pennstone, who has been working with Penn State University and their men's hockey program. Now, the men's hockey program, well, I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'll let him tell you about that. After we get done with Steve, we're going to talk about some tips for communicating with your camera folks out in the field, picking up field audio. Let's see, I've got a little cheat sheet here. We've got a demo on advanced instant replay and some ways to kind of make that look a little cooler. Just, not really so much how the feature works, but as how to make it work for you. So let's go cue up Steve, and we'll bring him in for the broadcast. Steve Pennstone, Penn State University. So, Steve, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Tom, it's great to be here. I've been looking forward to this since you asked me to be on the show, and always happy to talk sports and online broadcasting.
Well, I couldn't be more delighted to have you. I've got to start out by asking, how in the world did you get started in internet broadcasting to begin with?
In high school, the quarterback coach, or the coach of the football team, I wanted to be the quarterback, and he said, "Well, if you're going to do be the quarterback, you're going to do the morning announcements on our in-house TV station." I went, "No, I'm not." Well, one thing led to another. I got interested in broadcast journalism. Did that in high school, 1 year of college, and then left college and joined the Toronto Police Department, followed my dad on the police force, served there for 21 years. I got married to an American, and in 1994, we left Toronto and moved to Glenwood Springs, Colorado. A year later, I got a job at the local radio station in Aspen, started broadcasting high school football and basketball on the radio, moved to Colorado Springs and was there for 2 years doing the same thing. And then in the end of 1998, we moved to State College, where I went to work at the radio station here. I was supposed to start doing broadcasts of Penn State hockey then, but it didn't happen until 2002, 2003. And then after a couple of years on the radio, we added internet audio. And then 2 years ago, in the 2010-2011 season, we received a donation of a video camera, just a regular camcorder, from the father of one of our former players, who was a good friend of mine. And we started streaming video of the games late in that season, and then did it all last season as well, both home and away. Started out, we used Ustream, and we started out using their proprietary software. Wasn't really satisfied with it, so I started looking online at all of the digital switching software that is out there. And after trial and error and testing, we settled on VidBlaster as what we felt was best for what we wanted to do for Penn State hockey. And it's been really good for us for the past couple of seasons.
Oh, that's great. And so you guys have been continuing to broadcast to Ustream and
Right.
and recording it there and then recording it at on your hard drive. Tell me a little bit about your PC setup. What are you using for hardware?
Well, initially we started off, I had an older, large 17-inch laptop with not a lot of memory and not a lot of processor speed. Last year, we received a Core i7 laptop and a 15-inch one, much more compact. And pardon me, that allowed us to do some extra things with VidBlaster. The biggest addition we were able to do this past season was add the instant replay, which the fans just absolutely love.
That's definitely my favorite feature. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's cool.
And of course, we know that Mike, through his requests for feature additions, we have pushed, and I should say led by you, I think, and maybe one or two others, for slow motion instant replay that's going to be coming out in a new version that hopefully will come out before the hockey season starts.
I'm hoping it's going to be out this fall. And folks, Steve is referring to Mike Versteeg, who is the developer of VidBlaster. He's from Holland, a little place near Amsterdam, and has been developing VidBlaster for the past 4 years. He put out a word on the VidBlaster support forum, which is forum.vidblaster.com, and asked, what do you want me to work on? And so a bunch of us sports guys kind of got together and said, let's work on instant replay. And there was already an instant replay version, and we said, no, it's got to be slow-mo, and we want to be able to save the clips so that we can put them together in a kind of a montage format. And that's in the works right now. From what I understand, it's coming along very well. It's not finished yet. I haven't seen a beta hit the forum yet, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to happen any time now. Hopefully in time for hockey season. Steve, when does hockey start?
Our first game, Penn State's first game, will be October the 12th against American International College. And it's the return of varsity hockey to Penn State, and everybody is so excited for varsity hockey coming back. Penn State had varsity hockey back in the late 30s, early 40s. And the program, unfortunately, with the Warriors, went away. Actually, the last year for varsity hockey was 1946-47. The team has operated as a club program for the last 40 years, and it's been a huge success. But Mr. Terry Pagula and his family, a little over a year and a half ago, he's an alumni. He donated $88 million to fund both men's and women's varsity hockey here at Penn State, as well as to build a brand new arena, which is under construction right now and will open in the fall of 2013. So it's just an exciting time here at Penn State, despite all of the other issues going on. Obviously, we are all excited. Everybody involved with the hockey program just cannot wait for the season to begin on October the 12th.
That sounds like really good stuff for Penn State hockey. And
it is. I mean, hockey has been, like I said, it's been very successful here at Penn State at the club level. It is probably the benchmark program in the American Collegiate Hockey Association, or at least it was up until the end of this past season. And obviously, it's going to be a whole different kettle of fish with varsity hockey, because we're going to be kind of starting at the bottom and working our way up after being on top for quite a number of years. And the type of program that the other schools in the ACHA, kind of tried the good ones tried to model themselves after. And part of that has been the role that I've had, and my wife Barbara, who's been involved in it as well for the past 10 years as the broadcaster. And I'm excited to perhaps have the opportunity to keep doing it.
Well, and you guys have been doing some kind of cutting edge stuff too. We were talking off air about some of the things that you've added to your broadcast in addition to the instant replay that's built into VidBlaster. You guys have been adding some other features too. Tell me a little bit about those.
Well, I've always looked at it from the time I started doing high school football and basketball on radio back in Aspen. I've always looked at this as, whether it's high school or college or whatever it has been, to give these players their Super Bowl, their Stanley Cup, their World Series, whatever it's been, as far as the broadcast is concerned. And to that end, as you say, we've added things like the scoreboard. We've gone through a couple of different variations of the scoreboard. I found an online countdown timer, or rather a desktop countdown timer that we've added so that we can show how much time is left in the period. As long as I click the right mouse button at the right time, or remember to shut it off when the whistle blows. And sometimes in the heat of the action, I kind of mess up, but we make the best out of it and have a good joke about it with the fans. And it's been an experience, just trying different things and experimenting offline and seeing if they work when we're broadcasting. And as I say, the response not only from our fans and members of what we call the Icers family, but from the fans of the other teams as well, has been just truly positive and really makes us feel good for what we do.
Yeah, I think it's really gratifying when you hear about somebody whose dad or mom is serving overseas, or somebody that's on a big road trip and is going to miss the big game, that they were able to tune in and catch it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And we've had that situation when we were doing audio. If we were playing the Naval Academy, we literally had service members listening in Afghanistan. This past season, one of our seniors, who has since graduated, a local kid from State College, his parents are professors here at Penn State. They were in Australia and were watching a game from there. And a story, if I can, I also work at the All Sports Museum here at Penn State in Beaver Stadium. And this past weekend, we had an alumni come in with his family. They live in Hong Kong. And his son was with him. He looked like he was about 10 or 11 years old. He plays youth hockey in Hong Kong. So we started talking hockey. And we got on to the fact that we have done these webcasts. And he said, so I can watch Penn State hockey online? I said, yeah. I said, here's the web address. And he said, you've got fans in Hong Kong that are going to be watching this coming season. So it boggles my mind is the best way to put it.
It is amazing and very cool. I mean, yeah. 10 years ago we couldn't have done this stuff.
No, absolutely. And as I say, that's one of the things that sold me on VidBlaster was I was looking at analog switchers and external equipment. Well, with VidBlaster, you can do it all. I do it all on a 15-inch laptop now. With an audio mixer and a couple of headsets and a camera and a tripod, and we're good to go. And because of some of the situations we've had in the arenas that Penn State has played in, especially since we started adding the video, they're not exactly broadcast friendly. Let's put it that way.
I understand about that. I do.
You've been there, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, tell me about one of your more exciting matches where you got to use some of VidBlaster's features in the middle of the game.
Well, the biggest ones, there's two that come to mind, and they were both this past season. Oklahoma came to Penn State for 2 games, and Penn State was undefeated at home. They won on the Friday night, played Saturday afternoon, and they were down 3-0 with about 5 minutes left in regulation time. They scored 3 goals to tie it up, force overtime, and then won it in overtime to keep their home unbeaten streak, which they stretched out through the entire season. But they kept that streak alive with that overtime victory against Oklahoma. The other one was the game that they played in January, the first week of January, at Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia, which is the home of the Philadelphia Phillies, and was the home of the NHL Winter Classic this year. And Penn State played NCAA Division III Newman University, which is located just outside of Philadelphia, as part of the Winter Classic. And it was just an absolute treat to be able to broadcast that game. We had close to 1,000 computers logged in, so I have no idea how many people. But just the only disappointing thing about that night was that we were up in the TV broadcast booth. I had hoped to be down at ice level like my colleagues at NBC and Hockey Night in Canada had been for the game between the Rangers and the Flyers. But be that as it may, we had a great time broadcasting the game. We had great fan support, and it was a pretty good hockey game and on a perfect night for outdoor hockey. 3 nights later, we were at Oklahoma in a small arena, and I was literally sitting on the back row of the bleachers with all of my gear around me and the laptop and notes and everything else. And again, that goes to the ease and the portability of VidBlaster on a laptop, where we had a great setup in a professional broadcast TV booth one night, and then a few nights later, it was doing the best we could was unfortunately a bit of a bad situation, but we made it work.
Well, but going back to your first Oklahoma game, or not the first one, second Oklahoma game, where you guys came from behind, being down 3-0, to be able to go through that and then to show the instant replay of the game-winning goal. I mean, that's just so much fun from a broadcasting standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. As somebody who grew up, watching Hockey Night in Canada from the time I was 3 or 4 years old, it was just to be part of that. And as you say, it's just like doing that at a professional level. And like I said, the reaction we get from the fans is just fantastic. And because we have the ability to chat during the game. My wife, who also works the VidBlaster when I'm on camera, she is the camera person as well. Barb does a great job. Call her the executive producer. When the game's on, she's looking at the Facebook and the Twitter and the chat room on Ustream and all of that social media stuff while I'm calling the action and trying to make sure that I get things working correct on VidBlaster and putting the right score up on the right side of the scoreboard and all that kind of stuff. So it's not a one-man band for the home games and the road games. It's a two-person band, and we really strive to make it work. And again, having that portability with VidBlaster on a laptop really makes it that much easier.
Well, Steve, I can see right now that I've got to get you to come back on the show again in the future, and maybe we'll do a little behind the scenes of Penn State Nittany Lions hockey. And look at your laptop and your setup and let you share some of your tips and tricks with us, because it sounds like you guys are pretty much getting it dialed in.
We're, for the most part, yeah, we do. Like I say, we've had our struggles from time to time, mostly due to internet connection issues at some of the arenas. But yeah, I'd be happy to come back and kind of lift the curtain, I guess is a good way of putting it, as long as you don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain.
I understand. Folks, this has been Steve Pennstone with Penn State Nittany Lions Division I NCAA hockey. And if you want to watch some of his games, you can go to YouTube. And I guess, Steve, just Google, or do a YouTube search on Penn State hockey, and you guys will pop up.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, there are highlight packages on YouTube under Penn State hockey. If you go to Ustream, we have games recorded there. And again, it's if you just search Penn State men's hockey, they're on there along with some highlights as well. So both of those platforms.
Very cool.
See what we do and how we do it. And I'm always happy to answer any questions. That's the support forum that we talk about. That's a great tool, and I'm always checking it out. You can send me a private message there. Happy to answer any questions people have about how we do it.
Well, Steve, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on the show, and I look forward to having you back again.
Absolutely, and I guarantee you the next time I'm going to have that fancy green screen like you have, so you don't see the clutter in my office behind you.
We'll count on that. Folks,
Okay,
Steve Pennstone, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And Steve was a sport, because we actually recorded that a couple of weeks ago. I was playing with some settings, and the very first time we recorded it, it had no audio. The second time we recorded it, the audio was just atrocious. And bless his heart, he hung around and did a third interview. And it's funny, sometimes you get the best stuff the first time around after people have a chance to think about it. They get a little more reflective than maybe you want. The spontaneity is always a lot of fun. One of the things that Steve has struggled with, and some of the other folks that I know that are in sports broadcasting have struggled with, is the whole idea of communicating with your camera folks in order to tell them what shot you want. You know, the professionals, ESPN, ABC, all the guys that do this for a living, they have elaborate communication systems in order for the director to speak to each one of his, you know, 5, 10 cameras and get those shots. Of course, the cameramen are professional and they pretty well know what's needed anyway. But if you're in the internet sports broadcasting, at least in our neck of the woods, a lot of the times we're putting folks behind a camera that either don't know about cameras or don't know the sport, or for some reason this is a new thing for them. They've never done it before. And you know, with a little bit of training, folks can generally pull it off pretty well. But the thing about doing something new is you have to have feedback. And that's the beauty of the chat room here and all the emails that I get from folks talking about, you know, Tom, you need to work on audio. Tom, you need to work on video. My 18-year-old son, of course, has got all sorts of advice for me on the show. But having immediate feedback in a game situation is really critical if you're using less experienced folks to operate cameras for you. And one of the ways that you can build an inexpensive communication system is to use something called a balun. And a balun is simply an abbreviation for balanced, unbalanced. This is an example, and let me get it a little closer to the camera so that you can see better. This is an example of a composite video and analog audio balun. The two yellow channels are obviously your video. The red and the white are obviously your audio. And that goes into this little device. This device is connected to an Ethernet cable. And it can be a long Ethernet cable. From what I understand, we're talking 500-600 feet. On the other end would be a similar device like this that would take the feed out, and you would plug into your Osprey card or whatever composite video connection you were using. And then you would use RCA jacks and connect this to your mixer, a separate mixer, in order to use that to communicate with your camera folks. On their end, they would probably need a little teeny adapter like this. Let's see, I should have set up a camera to get this better. It's RCA on one end and 1/8 inch on the other end, just like an earbud. So we can plug these together like this. We can take a earbud connection like this, and suddenly they've got the ability to hear what's coming in on the channel through here. On your end, you would take the output, main mix out, from your mixer and put that on the same channel. These are labeled, let's see, audio 1, audio 2, video 1, video 2. So let's say we were using the audio 1 channel as a connection from you, the director, through the mixer to them. They would plug their earbud into audio 1 channel. Now, if you wanted to hear back from them, maybe you don't, but if you wanted to hear back from them, it gets a little bit more complicated. Obviously, they would need a microphone of some kind, but I've got a fix for that I think you're going to like too. Most cameras, and I'm streaming right now with a Canon HF100, which is a high-def camera, but we're only using the composite out on it. And the composite cable has 3 connections, a yellow for video, a white and a red for audio. So I can actually pick up the camera's audio and send it over this device to the other end. And therefore I could hear what my camera guy needed to say. Now this little tip actually works not only for communications with your camera folks, but it's a great way if you've got a camera. Well, we did a shoot this past weekend, and we had on Sunday, it was a championship for the Women's Premier Soccer League which is sort of a semi-pro league across the United States, 70 different teams, and they sent 4 of them to Pensacola, Florida for the semifinals on Saturday, the finals on Sunday. And for that match, we had a camera down near the field that we had focused up on the scoreboard in order to pick up the time clock. And we used VidBlaster's video effect picture-in-picture and basically took a big picture of the scoreboard and then just cropped it down and put it up in the corner in order so that the folks at home could know what the time was, because time is pretty important, especially if you're losing. The camera that did that, a Canon GL1, an old tape drive camera with a broken tape drive that I bought years ago for probably about 20 cents on the dollar. We picked up the audio from that camera and used it to pull into the broadcast the ambient noise of what was going on the field. And it really worked well. I mean, we were able to hear the impact of the ball when somebody struck it with their foot. If players were within, I don't know, probably 40 yards of the camera, we could hear the impact of 2 bodies hitting. I mean, it was that good. Yeah, there's sometimes when one of the fans stood at the fence near the camera and yelled something, we could hear that probably a little too well, but that didn't tend to happen. That is the downside to it. If you've got somebody with a foul mouth nearby, you pretty well have to shut that sound off pretty quickly. But it was a great way for us to pick up the audio from the field. And had we had a camera person down there and needed to instruct them as to what we needed, they would have been able to give us some feedback. And I'm probably confusing you, because we're talking about taking one audio signal and sending it to the mixer that you're using for the broadcast if you want to pick up the sound from the field. Taking that same audio signal and sending it to a mixer that's not attached to the broadcast, that's just essentially a communication system between the director and the camera folks. Sorry, kind of skipped over that step, and it can be a little confusing without that step. So you can pick up the ambient noise, you can also pick up the camera person's communication. This past weekend, we also found out that the camera mic was really, really pretty good for picking up the loudspeaker in the stadium. Their loudspeaker was just the right volume. Our camera audio setting was just the right volume. And we were actually able to use their audio without hooking into it directly to stream all the pregame activities, the Star Spangled Banner, the color guard, the introduction of all the players. And that would have been a lot more difficult to do had we not been able to pick it up basically just out of the air. I mean, it was free. It didn't even require extra cabling. And it was really a great way to do it. So there's 3 benefits to using a balun from an audio standpoint. One is to pick up ambient noise on the field or the basketball court, pick up the announcer in some cases, and to pick up the audio from your camera person and be able to get 2-way communication. So that's a video balun, audio video balun. This one's by Intellex. It was about, I think about $50 for a pair. But if you watch eBay, I found, not this particular brand, but I found 16 of those, or 8 pair, that somebody had in a lot, just a big box of them. And I think I picked them up for about $8 each. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But if you set up an eBay search, eBay will send you a text message or an email whenever something pops on that is on your search list. And so I was able to pick up a bunch of these. I ended up, you know me, I'm a cheapskate. I sold half of them, and it ended up of them, as well as giving me a little extra walking around cash in my PayPal account to buy some other stuff that I probably didn't need. Anyway, so that's a audio-video balun, works with Cat 5. They also make these for component output. If you have a HD camera and have, let's see if I've got one up here. Nope, I guess I put them away. Oh, here it is, excuse me just a second. and that does just video, all three of your videos, and there's the Cat 5. I think the limitation on this one is about 100 feet, but check the manufacturer specs on that. They also make these for HDMI, where you can plug in your HDMI on one end, and since it's carrying high-def video and audio on the signal, you actually have to plug in two Cat 5 cables, and if you do that, read the manufacturer's directions. They will insist that you use cables that are exactly the same length, otherwise your signals don't arrive at the same time, and the longer the span that you're trying to broadcast across, obviously the more potential for signals to get crossed up. So those are baluns, B-A-L-U-N, and you can generally pick them up off of eBay. I'm sure Amazon has them. B&H Photo, anything like that sells that kind of equipment should be able to get them for you. Let's see, next step. One of the things that we've done in our little boutique sports broadcasting company is we've realized the need for folks that are getting into the business but don't want to spend a year getting up to speed to figure out, you know, the PC and all the guts that go in it, and VidBlaster, and do I need a lot of RAM, or, you know, what motherboards are going to work with what. We have created, and I'm going to flash it on the screen for you. We have created a streaming PC. It's designed primarily for sports broadcasting because it is equipped with an Osprey 460E card, and that allows you, in those four little silver circles down on the bottom, to have 4 channels for incoming video feeds. Now this is standard definition only, but standard definition is what you're watching right now. This is 864 by 480, and I'm using an Osprey card to broadcast this to you right now. And in this particular box, we have all the goodies. We have loads of USB. We have the ability to run dual monitors, a VGA monitor and DVI out. We've got, of course, internet. We've got wireless internet. We have features that you might need, like even a handle on the top. So basically, this is ultra portable, ultra light, not very large. A monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and a mixer and a microphone, and whatever cameras you're going to use, and you are ready to go. If you are interested in that, we are selling these. We are renting them, and if you sweet talk me, I'll probably let you borrow one for a weekend to test it out and see if it works. They're pretty expensive, but essentially what you're paying for, not so much the nuts and the bolts of what's in it, but you're paying for the expertise and all the trials and testing that we've done. As an authorized VidBlaster reseller, I can equip it with VidBlaster, so it's literally ready to hit the ground running. Pull it out of the box, plug in the cameras, plug in the mixer, keyboard, monitor, mouse, and you are ready to go broadcasting. You can shoot me an email, Tom at thatvidblasterguy.com, and we can talk some more about it if that's what you're interested in. Also over the weekend, we made extensive use of replay in our soccer matches. And I wanted to sort of demo the cost of the unit. Sorry, I did sort of roll by that. Cost of the unit is going to be based on $3,000 for the hardware, and then whatever VidBlaster package you want to put in it. Pro runs just under 500, Studio just under 1,000, and Broadcast just under 2,000. So there's some different options in terms of what you want to be able to do with it, and we can talk about which of those versions is going to meet your needs. This past weekend, we streamed 3 soccer matches. We had at one point 4 cameras running, keeping in mind one of them was static and pointed at the scoreboard. And we made extensive use of instant replay. And I wanted to let you see what instant replay looks like during the course of a match. So basically, I took some screen grabs and I've put a little demo together for you. Unfortunately, when I recorded it, it recorded in 2 different files. So I'll see if I can't sync them up for you right here. let's have a look at Advanced Instant Replay. Hi, that VidBlaster guy again, Tom Sinclair, coming to you with a demo on instant replay and some advanced tips for instant replay. I've got sort of a smorgasbord of modules up here on the screen, and I'm going to add an instant replay module. So I'll go to Modules, click Add, drop down to Instant Replay 2 because that's the one that uses my hard drive as a temporary storage spot as opposed to RAM. And I am going to select the Player 5 as my source because that's a soccer video that I've sort of preloaded right there, and you can see it's in the main program monitor right here. And I'm going to go ahead and play this and let it be going a little bit, and we'll turn down the volume
Well played
on that
there by
just
Victoria
a
Fish.
little bit so that we don't get in the way of anything. And I'm also going to add another instant replay module, replay 2 again. I'll put that one right here. And just because I've only got I don't have it, well, I guess, yeah, we'll just use Player 5 again because it's got action in it. And you remember the slider bar here allows us to slide back 30 seconds. So I'm going to take Instant Replay 2 and put it at 24 seconds. And Instant Replay number 1 and put it about 12 seconds. So I can now effectively have 2 instant replays of the same activity. And let's pull this slider ahead a little bit.
Good opportunity.
Let's see. Let's go back, see if we can find some particular part of the action that I know was pretty exciting. Well, we'll leave it right here. This is a corner kick. This is a good one to talk about. And remember, I've got video replay module number 1 set for about 12 or 15 seconds, number 2 for 24 seconds. So I've got that going in. It was an exciting shot. Let's watch it again. Now we've got to watch it right here. And since we thought it was so good, we'd really like to show it a second time. We can do it again with our video replay second module. And there's the same one again. Now if we want to show it a fourth time and just the final action, we can scroll back our video replay number 1. And by alternating back and forth between them, we can create multiple instant replays. Now when you have more than one camera, it's especially effective because you can show the widescreen like we just showed. Here's a close-up right here with a second camera that we were using, and so you could put instant replay on both of those and show the widescreen and then the close-up, and then if you wanted to do it again, you could show the close-up again. Let's see if we can pull ahead a little bit here in our recording and see if we can find that spot.
Nice ball.
So we can see a sample here. I've paused the game. And let's start the game, and I can show you how they did it in real life.
Oh, there it is. Duncan got her one. Texans go up 2-0.
That's live action. Here's the first replay.
Get that on a replay close up here.
Here's the second replay.
I mean, you'd almost call that sort of a junk goal, Jordan, but, you know, she was in the right place at the right time, and she's been there all night. I mean, she's been where the action was.
Well, in time.
And notice how we stayed with this second instant replay as if it were live, because it shows a lot of folks close-ups. And now, of course, we're back to live action. We're just going to stop that. And that's a demonstration of how to use multiple instant replays in the same shot. And of course, it really helps if your camera person is not also operating the VidBlaster program. This is Tom Sinclair with That VidBlaster Guy. For more tips and tricks, tune into our show Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central, or catch us on YouTube at That VidBlaster Guy. Okay. And that, one of the voices you heard in there was me. The other voice was my son, Jordan Sinclair, who helps me on a lot of these broadcasts. As a former soccer player, he knows the game well and has been an announcer and director and cameraman for me, and I really appreciate his help. Next week, we think we have a surprise guest. I can't announce yet who it is because I need to confirm it. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think he'll, as soon as I know, I'll make sure everybody knows. So I will get to that during the course of the week. If you're not following us on Twitter, That VidBlaster Guy, would encourage you to do that, and that way you can kind of keep up with who's coming up on the show. And it's the Twitter is That VidBlaster Guy. We need to put a link on our website. We're kind of behind on that. We will be posting this in the archives, so if you missed part of it, or if you want to see it again, or if you want to hear more about baluns or some other part, just go to the archive section of our website, and we'll put a link to it there. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you can buy the VidBlaster software directly from me. You don't have to buy it from VidBlaster. As you can see, our prices are, marginally less than the retail price. That's more just as sort of a come on. But the real benefit is not that you can buy the home version for $185 and it generally sells for $195, but the benefit is what comes with it. And if you've been around software long enough, you know that there's nothing like having good support. And a mission-critical piece of software like VidBlaster, if things blow up and aren't going the way you need to, and it's 20 minutes until a broadcast, sending an email to tech support or filling out a form online and hoping you get an email back is not the best way to do it. That's why every VidBlaster purchase from us, Sinclair Sports Network, gets a special number that goes to my cell phone. We don't publish this number. It is strictly for users to call when they get in trouble. And, the phone rings, and I'm happy to help. Things that aren't mission critical, we ask that you shoot us an email, and we can communicate through email. Sometimes we'll do Skype conversations because that's easier and a lot more fun. But when the ox is in the ditch and you need help getting the ox out of the ditch, you've got a number to call. And there's no extra charge for that support. We generally do it for a year, but frankly, most folks 2 or 3 weeks, and they've worked through all the major issues, at least the mission critical issues, and are ready to sort of fly off on their own and just need an occasional conversation or email exchange later on to get things figured out. If you're thinking about buying VidBlaster, shoot me an email, tell me what your thoughts are, tell me what you want to use it for. I can probably help you figure out not only how to use VidBlaster, but how to configure your PC, how to configure your cameras and your mixer, how to solve some of the problems that for you are the first time you've ever seen it, but for me, this is the 100th time I've had this conversation. And I don't mean that in a demeaning sense, but in the sense that once you've done it a couple times, it's not as hard as it appears if you've never done it before. So if you're thinking about purchasing VidBlaster, I would encourage you to pop us an email. You can go to our VidBlaster sales website, which is on SinclairSportsNetwork.com, SinclairSportsNetwork.com. and click on the VidBlaster link. There's the page again. And you can buy it directly from that link, pay for it over PayPal, and we will give you the key to unlock the software. The current beta version for VidBlaster is version 2.20, but it was announced today that VidBlaster Beta 2.21 is in the works. And for those of you that have been waiting for H.264 encoding, that's going to be the big deal. And if you're not familiar with that, basically H.264 is the encoding process that allows iPhone users, iPad users to view your video through your CDN. If you send it a different way, like a VP6 in Flash Media Live Encoder, people with iPhones cannot see it. And folks, we may not like it, but that's the future. People are going to be watching what we have on little teeny screens because they can watch it on the fly. Yeah, they'll do like me when they have a show they really want to watch and take the laptop and plug in the HDMI cable and put it on the big screen and sit back in the Lazy Boy and watch it. But sometimes you're just not at home and you don't have the Lazy Boy and you don't have the big screen and all you've got is your little handheld phone. Well, we can stream to that too now. Coming down the pike pretty soon, H.264 for VidBlaster. If you have questions about that or anything on this broadcast, I would encourage you to pop me an email and we'll be happy to talk about it. And then follow us on Twitter and you can see who our guest is coming up next week. So that brings us to the end of the broadcast. Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. Really appreciate you tuning in and I look forward to seeing you again next time.